Hello everyone, so to make these pumpkins you'll need to know basic stitches such as how to do a single crochet, a half double crochet, and also how to do a slip knot, a magic circle, and just how to tie off. So for today's tutorial you will need some yarn, preferably two colours, one for the stem, one for the pumpkin itself. So I'm using a size 4.5 because that's how thick my yarn is. It usually tells you on your yarn label. So if you want to have a similar size pumpkin to mine, you can use the same hook size as I am. If you want bigger, you can use bigger. You will also need a pair of scissors and a crochet hook. And last but not least, some stuffing or filling. You don't actually need that much per pumpkin. I'd say you'd only need around a fistful. Obviously if you can stuff it as much as you can, the better. You can also use like recycled yarn scraps, similar color to your pumpkins. You can't really tell, but sometimes when you stretch it out you can kind of see the color underneath. Also just depends on like how your tension is and how tightly you do your stitches, so that's just like a tip that I would give. And yeah, without any further ado, let's get started with the tutorial. So to start off, I'll be to make a magic circle, you want to have your tail end on the right hand side and your yarn end on the left hand side. You want to pick up your yarn, get 2 fingers and loop the yarn around just like this. Pinch where the yarn crosses over and put your hook into the yarn. You want to hold the crossover of the yarn against your hook with your index finger. Get the yarn end and twist the magic circle, pull it through the loop, yarn over and pull through the loop to chain 1, and that is how you make your magic circle, and also chain 1. So for round 1 we will be making 8 single crochets. So what we'll do is we'll go into the loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on your hook. That is how you make a single crochet. So go into the loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on your hook like so. On your yarn, when you are crocheting, make sure you don't pull too hard on your yarn end, and make sure you are crocheting over this tail end as well to weave everything in quite nicely. So we've done 2 single crochets. It's our 3rd one, our 4th one. I'm going to pull on the tail end a little bit because my loop's just gone a bit big. So to pull on the tail end to make the loop smaller, just hold on to your work and pull, and the loop will get smaller. This is why it's called a magic loop. So we've done 4 single crochets, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So we have done our 8 single crochets, and now we're going to go into that first single crochet we made at the start of the round and make a slip stitch. So we'll go into that stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then just pull through that loop on your hook. That is our first round done, and now we're going to pull onto the tail end just to make that hole a little bit smaller. And there we go. So for the second round we will do an increase. So we'll chain 1, and into the first stitch we'll make 2 single crochets. So yarn over, pull through, and then go into that same stitch, yarn over and pull through the 2 loops. We'll do the same in the second stitch. So 1, 2, and we'll do the same in all the stitches all the way around, just like so. And we'll keep doing this until we reach the end, and I'll see you then. Okay, so now I've done 2 single crochets in every single stitch all the way around, and this should equal to 16 single crochets. We are now going to slip stitch into that single crochet, the first one of the row, and now we can start our 3rd round. So for this round we are still going to be increasing, so we're going to yarn over and pull through to chain 1, and in that first single crochet I'm going to make 2 single crochets. So 1, and then go back into that same stitch and make another single crochet. And now in the next stitch I'm only going to make 1 single crochet, and in the stitch after I'm going to make 2 single crochets. So 1, and then the same stitch, 2. So throughout this round, you'll be repeating the same pattern of making 2 single crochets in one stitch and making 1 single crochet in the next. So in this stitch we made 2 single crochets, so in the next one we'll only make 1. And then in the next we'll do 2, so 1, go back into that same stitch, 2, and in the one after we'll do 1. So you want to carry on with this pattern all around the end, and I'll see you at the end of round 3. So you should finish round 3 with 1 single crochet in the stitch because you started off with 2 single crochets in the stitch. And now we're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet of the round. And now we can start round 4. So to start round 4, we'll chain 1. And again, in that first single crochet of the previous stitch, we'll make 2 single crochets, so 1 and 2. And now for this round, for the next 2 stitches, we'll only do 1 single crochet in each stitch. So for the first one, we've done 2 single crochets in the same stitch. For the next 2 stitches, we'll only make 1. So in the next stitch, we'll do 1 single crochet. And in the stitch after, we'll only make 1 single crochet. And then we'll repeat this pattern. So in this stitch we'll make 2 single crochets, 1, go back into that same stitch and make 2, and then the next 2 stitches we'll only make 1 single crochet, so 1 and 2. In this next so just like that, you want to repeat this pattern of 2 single crochets in one stitch, 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 2 single crochets in one stitch, 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And you just want to repeat this all the way around the full round, and I'll see you at the end, and I'll also untie this knot. So now we're at the end of row 4, and again we're going to slip stitch to the start of the single crochet. And now for round 5, we'll make a chain 1 and do 2 single crochets into that first stitch, so 1 and 2. And now we'll make 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So in the first stitch we'll do 1 single crochet, in that second stitch we'll make 1 single crochet, and now in that third stitch we'll make 1 single crochet. Now that we've done that, we'll repeat that same pattern again. So in this next stitch we'll make 2 single crochets, so 1, go back into that same stitch, make another single crochet, 2, and then again make 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So in that first stitch we'll make 1, in that second stitch we'll make 1, and in that third stitch we'll make 1 single crochet. So you want to repeat that pattern of making 2 single crochets in one stitch, 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches all the way around round 5, and I'll see you at the end to slip stitch and start off on round 6. So now I'm at the end of row 5 and ready to slip stitch into that first single crochet of the round. Just to clarify, every time you repeat your pattern, you always end at a 1 single crochet in the stitch, because we always start off with 2 single crochets in one stitch. So now to start off round 6, we'll chain 1, and this will be our final row of increasing. So in that first stitch we'll make 2 single crochets, so 1, go back into that same stitch and make 2. And now for this round we'll be doing 1 single crochet in the next 4 stitches. So in that first stitch we'll do 1 single crochet, in the second we'll do 1, in the third we'll make 1, and again in the fourth we'll do 1. And we'll repeat that pattern around the whole round. So in this next stitch the pattern repeats, so we'll do 2 single crochets in the same stitch, 1 single crochet in the next 4 stitches, so 1, 2, 3 and 4. And you'll carry on doing this around the whole round, and I'll see you at the end to slip stitch and show you what to do for rows 7 to 16. So I'm now doing my last of the 4 single crochets in round 6, and now I'm going to slip stitch into that first single crochet of the round. So not including the first round, we had 5 rounds of increase, and now we will start using our double crochets. So first you want to chain 2, 1 and 2, and now for round 7 to round 16, so for 10 rounds, we will be doing only 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way around. So you might want to use a stitch marker for this because it may be hard to see when the stitch ends or starts. You can always just loop a stitch marker here on your chain, or you can use like a row counter, just write down what row you're on, or if you can remember, you can remember. So to do a half double crochet, we yarn over, go into that first stitch, yarn over, pull through. Now we have 3 loops on our hook. We'll yarn over and pull through all 3 loops like so, and that is your half double crochet. I'll show you again in the second stitch. We yarn over, go into that stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through the 3 loops on your hook like so. So here we've done 2 half double crochets. We'll carry on, make another half double crochet, and just like this you want to carry on just doing 1 half double crochet in every stitch or all around the round for 10 rounds. So from round 7 to round 16. So just like this, you want to keep on going, slip stitch at the end and carry on for 9 more rounds, totaling 10 rounds, and I'll see you at the end. By then you'll notice that most of your pumpkin has made shape and you'll see the base finally starting to form. This is what your work should start to look like. It could also look like this as well, but I'd recommend just having the tail side inside the pumpkin instead of the outside, just so it's easier to like hide. And now I've also done my last half double crochet, and I'm going to slip stitch into that first half double crochet of the row. And now it's finally time to decrease. So for our decrease stitches we do single crochets. I don't know why, I just decided to do it because it looks tighter and neater rather than half double crochets. So now we're going to chain 1. We're going to make 1 single crochet together. So I'll show you what to do. We'll go into that first stitch, yarn over, pull through, go into that second stitch, yarn over and pull through. You should have 3 loops on your hook, and because this is single crochet we're just going to pull through all of them. Once we've done that, we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch for 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. It's our decrease, so we're going to go into that gap here, yarn over, pull through, go into the next one, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. And then in each stitch make 1 single crochet for the next 4 stitches. So 2, 3 and 4, and then again make our decrease stitch. So I'll show you once again. We go into that gap, yarn over, pull through, go into the next one, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. You want to carry on doing that all the way until the end of the round, and I'll see you when we slip stitch into that first single crochet of the round. So now I'm at the end of the round, and I'm just going to go into the top of that single crochet and make a slip stitch. For the 18th round we're going to chain 1 and make a single crochet decrease, so single crochet 2 together. So into that first stitch and into that second stitch, yarn over and pull through all loops. And then, similar to what we did before, we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do a single crochet 2 together, like so. And then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches, so 1, 2 and 3, and then again in that next stitch we're going to single crochet 2 stitches together. So 1, we're going to single crochet 2 stitches together, so 1, 2, like so. Again, you want to carry on doing that pattern, and you may be able to tell that this sole is slowly getting smaller and smaller, so you want to carry on doing that until you reach the end of the round, and I'll see you there. now we've chained 1 after making our slip stitch, and now we're going to do a decrease. So we're going to go into that first stitch, yarn over, pull through, go into the second stitch, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over, pull through all the loops on our hook to do our decrease, so our single crochet together. And then we're going to make 2 single crochets. We're going to make 1 single crochet, sorry, in the next 2 stitches. So that was the first one, and now we're going into that second one, and now we're going to do a single crochet together. So 1, 2 together, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches again. And you just want to keep on repeating that pattern all the way around and continuing to do that 2 single crochet together as a decrease, and I'll see you at the end of the row. Now I've just finished my row, and I'm going to do a slip stitch into that first single crochet. And now we're going to chain 1 and again do 2 single crochets together. So go into that first stitch, go into that second stitch, crochet them together. And now we're only going to do 1 single crochet in 1 stitch. So done that 1 single crochet in that 1 stitch, and then crochet 2 together. So 1, 2 stitches together, and then we'll just repeat that same pattern all the way around. Anyway, so I'm going to slip stitch into that first single crochet of the round. And also, if you hear those noises, I'm sorry, it's the aeroplane. Anyway, so before we carry on to do the final round, before we tie off, I'm going to stuff because this hole is getting very small. But yeah, this is our stuffing or filling, and you want to get like a fistful of it, like this much. This is like a fistful. Actually, I might get a little bit more, like this much. Like a fistful, like a good fistful, you know. You can always add more, you can always take out some if you don't like it. And I'm going to put this on 3 times speed so you can enjoy me stuff. So obviously it's still a bit flat in some places, so you want to make sure it's like nice and compact. If you think that you don't have enough stuffing, add more. Also, I'm starting to think this pumpkin might be a little bit bigger than my other ones. I'm not sure why. But yeah, so yeah, now we're gonna do our final row and then we can tie off. So now for our final row, like always, we are going to chain 1, and now we are going to only single crochet together in every stitch in this round. So in that first stitch and that second stitch, we're going to crochet a single crochet together. Again in the third and fourth, and you're just going to carry on doing it all the way around. And if you don't remember how to do a single crochet together, please just rewind to a couple of rows back where I showed you guys how to do it. This part can get a bit fiddly because we've already put the stuffing in. And also, once you've like finished this row and you found out like, hey, I need some more stuffing, just stuff more in, like, you know, the more stuffing the better, right? I think it's because I realized that for my previous pumpkins I used a size 4mm hook, and I used a 4.5 for this one, and size and hooks make a big difference because these are the same yarn and look at the difference in size. So yeah, anyway, who doesn't like a big pumpkin? So you might want to keep that in mind when you are making multiple pumpkins, especially if they're in different colours, to make sure to use the same size yarn and hook. I personally don't mind because I like having different sizes in a set. But just to tell you guys. Okay, so now that I've just finished that pretty self-explanatory row, I'm going to slip stitch into that first single crochet of the row, and you'll have a little tiny gap like this. We're going to leave like a decent tail end, just like a whole loopy loop of that loop, and we're going to leave like a couple of inches off and snip it. There we go. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through, and don't worry, this will create a secure knot just for you and your work. And then you can do this with a tapestry needle, but I'm a bit lazy and I can't find mine. So what you're going to do is you're just going to loop your hook like into the stitches like this, yarn over and pull this yarn through. So go maybe like 1, 2, 3 stitches before and loop your hook in and out of the stitches and weave the yarn through just like this. You can just copy what I'm doing. You can loop around a couple of times if you want. And then once you've done that, you just pull tight and boom, the hole is closed, you're secure. You can always, so the yarn is on this side, I'm gonna go on the opposite side, yarn over and slip stitch just to make it more secure. And then I'm just gonna go back into this side, yarn over and slip stitch to make it more secure, just like that. You will have like a little bit of a gap here. We can just cover this part with the pumpkin stem when we make it and use this part as the bottom of the base like I've done here. It looks a lot more neater. And then once you've done with this, you can just shove this inside your pumpkin. No one's gonna see it, plus it adds to the stuffing. And it's just easier than like weaving it in. And then the next part will show you how to get this pumpkin shape and also how to do the stem. So now we're going to start to make the shape of the pumpkin segments, and the 6 segments. We'll do this by just getting some good amount of yarn, and we're going to just wrap like half the pumpkin around. So now once we've got that tail end just over the piece and the yarn end underneath, what I'm going to do is just hold that tail end down, insert my hook through this hole and through the whole pumpkin. Oops. And we're going to just try and get into this middle here. It is quite difficult to get into that middle section because we did tie off quite tightly. Well, I did. So if you tied loosely, try and get into that middle, but if you tied tightly, you can just get into one of these side stitches. Just yarn over and pull the yarn through. Try not to get any stuffing through, but if you do, you can always just go back and get that yarn and pull it back through again. I'm going to pull it through like this. If you pull out any stuffing, you can just go ahead and like pull it back in. Anyway, so now what we're going to do is, now we've got that yarn weaved through our piece, we're going to get our tail yarn end, turn the pumpkin over, and this will be like the top part, so this will kind of be hidden by our stem. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go into a stitch like this, yarn over the tail end, pull through, and then just pull like kind of really tightly, and then yarn over and pull through. Hold on. Yarn over and then pull through just to make like a knot, and then pull the yarn end quite tightly so you can get that segment. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back into that stitch, yarn over and pull through again. Oops. Yarn over, then yarn over and pull through again. Just make like a double knot. You can then just go back into that top of the hole, find that tail end, and then just weave it in through and hide it inside the pumpkin. It's kind of easier that way, just to hide it inside. You can't even like see it anymore. And I accidentally took out some stuffing. If you do that, or you accidentally take out your tail end, you can just push it in with the bottom of your hook, just like this. So we basically got our first segment done, and it will look better when we just pull that end tight. Every time we make a segment like this, we want to go ahead and do a slip stitch just so it secures and keeps it tight and secure. But before we do that, we're going to have 6 segments. So since this is still attached to the yarn end, we want to make 6 segments roughly so we know how much yarn we should have before we cut off. So what I'm going to do is, this is our first segment, and then we're going to just go around the other side here to get that second segment. So now we have 2 segments, and then you'd pull the yarn through here, and then I'll just twist it to get another segment. Just like this, you want to keep roughly wrapping it around until you have a total of 6 segments. The segments don't have to be equal, and then just wrap it a couple of times just to get some excess yarn. And then I'm going to get my scissors, so I'm just going to cut it, just leave a bit of an edge. We're going to unwrap, and then we've got our first part secured like this. I'm going to just pull it tight a little bit more. The tighter you get it, the less you can see the string. I don't do it as tightly here, you can see the string more. And also it's not that noticeable, and it still looks good. You can also do that ribbed edging pattern, but I quite like this one because it's more smooth and like kind of realistic. So I'm going to pull it tight and then push that tail end back in actually. Then just go in through the stitch, yarn over, and just pull through that whole thing, pulling it as tight as I can. So that's kind of like that first segment done. Then we're going to just pull that yarn over back into the center again. So we're going to do it like a cake kind of. We'll just do that first cross section, and then we'll just do like the 2/4 cross sections. So I'm going to go in through that middle to the top middle. Make sure you're going into that top middle. If you go into any of the stitches, it will look dodgy. And then just yarn over and pull that yarn through like so. Tighten that. So you want to pull it tight, make sure it's quite tight and secure. I think I should have made this one a bit more tighter. Anyways, and then again, just yarn over into a stitch. You want to make sure it's like a stitch from the final round, so it can be hidden by the stem, and then just yarn over and pull through to make it. Pulling it quite tight, like so, but don't do it too tight where you just rip the yarn, because I've had that happen to me before. Anyway, now we're going to go back in, so we have 4 more segments left to make here and here. So I'm just going to do the first little like crossover. You want to try and make sure they're quite even, so just do like a little rough thing so you know if they're even or not. So I know this is quite even. It doesn't have to be perfect, and then you can just go in through that bottom, middle, and then through that top middle hole. It can be a bit hard going through if you have a lot of stuffing. Yarn over, just pull your yarn through. If any stuffing comes out, it's fine, you can just poke it back in with your crochet hook. Just like that. Again, pull tight, nice and tight, just to get that segment. You can see it's all coming out now. And then back into the, just go into like a random stitch that's in that last final row and make a slip knot just to keep it nice, tight and secure. And then again, we're going to do like the other side. So you can either do this side first, or you can do it like this. I'm going to do it like this, so I can just have it more even. Is that even? Oh no, this one's quite big actually. Let's see. Let's do it like this. Obviously it doesn't have to be perfect, but it would be nice to get them kind of nice and even. So you just want to keep on crossing the yarn over the pumpkin, weaving it through the holes, and then just tying it on one end. The end you tie it on can either be the top or the bottom, it's your choice, but I like to hide the tied ends so it kind of looks quite neat when you turn the pumpkin upside down. So this part will be where I have the stem, this part will be the bottom of the pumpkin, just like here. It looks quite neat. When I take the stem off, it will look messy like that. Then we go back in to one of the stitches on the last row and make a slip knot. Pull that yarn through. You do have to tie off your yarn here, because if you don't, then you won't be able to pull your yarn through. And now we obviously only have 2 more segments left. So again, I'm just gonna go just do a crossover. This one's quite simple, but you do have to do 1 segment at a time. You can't do 2 segments at a time. So go into that middle again, put your hook through that bottom, weave it through. Oops. Just try. It's a bit difficult, like trying to get it out through, especially when you've got this coming out. And then just tighten it to really make them prominent. And then again, go into one of the stitches in the last row and make a slip knot. Pull through, and then for the final segment, again, I think I left like a lot more yarn than I should have, but it's okay. Oops. Okay, so I've done this last segment here and I'm just tightening it. Make it as tight as I can. And then I'm just going to go into a stitch here. One of the stitches from that last row actually. Yarn over and just pull through. If you find that you've done it a bit loosely, you can always just go back in and then do that segment again, but I don't recommend going over that same place with the yarn multiple times, otherwise it can get a bit bulky. And then what you want to do at the end is you just kind of want to squash your pumpkin together just to make it like more nice and like prominent like that. I've just had to stuff it a little bit here because one of the segments got a bit flat. If that happens to you, just go ahead, get some stuffing, prod it with the back of your crochet hook, and then just prod it into the segment you need through this loop here, and it will go through because this starting loop is a magic circle. So the more you prod your hook through it, it will open a little bit. Just make sure not to do it too much because you don't want your circle to open too much. And then just shape it as you can like this. And there you have your pumpkin, and it's ready to have the stem attached to it. The more thicker you want, the more you squeeze it, and then this is thicker, and then the more flat you want, you just do that. I like mine to be thick. Also, one mistake I did do is I did rip the end by accident. This is why you make sure you always do a double knot before you try and do any alterations, in case you rip it. So that's why I'm completely fine with it being ripped, because I can just quickly, you know, weave that end through or just glue it down, and we'll get ready on making the stem. So it's time to do the stem. So you want to get your second colour, and doing the stem is actually quite easy. You just make a magic circle. It's quite simple. A bit fiddly but straightforward. So after doing a magic circle, you want to chain 1 and make 5 single crochets. So go into that circle, make 1 single crochet, and then 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we'll just hold on to the work, pull the tail end tight, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just slip stitch into that top of that 5th stitch. And now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and you can guess it's 2 rows of just half double crocheting all the way around. So 1, and we'll do 5 half double crochets all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we slip. We're going to chain 2. So there's 1, 2, 3, there's 4. So I've just done my 5th and final one. I have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to then just go ahead and slip stitch into that last one there, and you can just see it's kind of just curling up all together, and don't worry, it's supposed to do that. So we've done the 2 rows of a half double crochet, so we're going to chain 2 again, and then go ahead and do another 5 half double crochets all the way around. Okay, so yarn over, go into that first half double crochet, like that, yarn over, pull through. So that's second, that's third, this is my 4th, and then finally my 5th, my 5th. Then I'm going to slip stitch into that first half double crochet, and there we go. And now it's for like the last 2 rows of the stem, and this row will consist of single crochets and an increase. So in that first half double crochet we are going to make 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, and then in that next stitch we'll only make 1, and in the one after we'll make 2, and then the final one we'll make 1, and in that final half double crochet we'll make 1 single crochet, and then just slip stitch to that first single crochet at the start of the row, chain 1, and repeat this round again. So we'll do 2 single crochets in that first stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, again 2 single crochets in that third stitch, 1 single crochet in the next one, and then another 2 single crochets here. For this it doesn't really matter if you end on 2 single crochets or 1 single crochet, because this is literally just the last row and it's just for a little increase for the base of the stem. Okay, don't mind the background noise, but we are basically done with the stem now. I'm just going to zoom in for you guys a little bit. So you want to count how many single crochets you have at the end of this, and you should have 8. So it's like the same number as the number of stitches on row 1 of the pumpkin. Now this does look a bit messy, but it's fine, it's going to get hidden. So you want to try and get into that first single crochet of that first row. If you can't, just go into that second row, it doesn't matter, it's all completely fine. So I'm going to go through like 2 stitches at a time, because I am going into that second row. I'm going to yarn over, pull through that green yarn through the pumpkin stitch, then I'm going to pull it through the stitch on my stem, and then I'll pull it through the loop on my hook. I'll go into that next stitch, going to find the next stitch on the pumpkin to go in through. You see I'm going through 2 stitches here. I'm going to yarn over, pull through the pumpkin stitch and then pull through the loop on my hook. Oops. So I'm going to go into the next stitch. So this next 2 stitches here. Also feel free to go through the string as well, because that is a part of it too. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the next, and you're just basically going through single crochet on your stem, the single crochet and the string on your pumpkin. So I have about 2 more crochets to go through, and then I'll go through that final one, through here, and then through that final single crochet. You might just genuinely find it easier to just tie it off earlier on and glue this on, but this is how I'm going to do it because it's more secure. Then you want to cut off, just yarn over, pull through to make a slip knot. So that is basically that done. You can also go ahead and just make another slip stitch with the green yarn if you want. I'm just going to go in through the stem with my crochet hook, and then so I've just weaved that yarn through. That is your pumpkin finished. Might be a little bit difficult to make the first time around, but I promise once you've made your first pumpkin, they're so easy to make. Literally just take less than an hour and they are perfect for autumn, or you can also change the colours to match any season you like. And yeah, that was my first step-by-step tutorial. I hope it was helpful, and I'm sorry for any mistakes or cuts. I did keep on running out of storage, and if you do make the pumpkins following my video, please DM them to me on my TikTok or Instagram. I'd love to see them and share them, and please comment, like and subscribe, and let me know what videos you'd like to see next. Thank you for watching. Bye.